Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
All right. Good morning. I am trying to mute the sound effect and it's not working.
Let me give it a try.
Okay. I got it. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Well, it's Saturday morning and here we are. How are you?
Indeedy. Yes, indeedy. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well on this rainy morning, but doing well. So we're going to jump in, folks. Welcome to Earrings Off. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is our Saturday morning show. So today, Teresa and I are going to talk about needed conversations. And needed conversations are the ones that we need to have with our family members, extended family members, about what's going on in terms of our health. It is not so that we can, just share information that we're not comfortable with sharing, or it's not about that. It's about sharing information which is needed so that our family members know what our challenges are, our health challenges in our family. For example, I was sharing with Teresa that I went to, actually, it was a funeral recently, and a first cousin and we were talking about renal failure in our family. And that's something that's been in my family, but thankfully, my older family members shared it with me, that concern, when I was much younger. And as a result of their sharing and saying, Lou, watch out for this, that made me share with my doctor for her to be more proactive about my kidneys, the health of my kidneys. And it also made me more aware of what lifestyle changes I needed to incorporate to make sure that I try to protect my kidneys. So, years ago, when we lived in closer proximity to each other, physical proximity to each other, we were more prone to know what was going on. Somebody had a doctor's appointment. Oh, yeah, I got a doctor's appointment. How'd you do with the doc? That kind of information was readily shared. But I think as a result of HIPAA laws, which are wonderful and it very much needed, but as a result of that, some of that's carried over for us to be so private about our health. And I get that. I'm that way too. But when you're talking about the younger family members, we need to just be a bit more open about health concerns, that things that sort of run in our families that we need to be aware of. So that's what we're talking about today. So, yeah.
Much needed topic. And I would say to that, Lou, when it comes to family, we have to get beyond that whole secrecy and afraid
Yeah.
to share. I mean, I get it, not sharing it with the public, but certainly within the family, we
Yeah.
need to openly and readily share that type of information.
Yeah, because actually, when I brought it to my physician's attention about the renal failure running rampant in my family, she said, Miss Ali, I've never heard of that to that degree. And I shared with her, all the family members that had been impacted. And again, it's allowed me to just be more aware of the implications so that I can make lifestyle choices, which again, I hope put me in a better position as I age to maintain my kidney functioning. And I've shared that with younger family members just so that they are aware of what's going on so that they can make good choices, because I've let them know this is something that's in the family. It does not mean you are going to get it. I haven't. And what it means is I want you to be aware of it so that you know what to look out for. So,
So you said something, I know this is getting a little off topic, but it triggered something in me. Um, just because a family member has a certain disease does not mean
does
that
not.
you have to get it. And so many people resign to that fact. They
Well,
accept it readily. Renal failure, for that example, is in my family. It's going to happen to me. Well, that's not the case. It's all of these things that you just said about being proactive and making sure that it doesn't, making the needed changes so that you don't end up in that same predicament. There are
tw-
some genetic factors
right.
when it comes to disease, but certainly it's not a guarantee. It's not necessarily a guarantee if you make the needed lifestyle changes.
Right, right. And Teresa, you and I have talked about that very topic many times because, one of my pet peeves is how people, particularly in our community, just readily accept a diagnosis of high blood pressure. And I certainly did because I had so many family members with it and people that I knew. I really felt like, okay, so yeah, I got high blood pressure, and you take a pill. And so you start thinking about that, like people that you've been around, how they think, and it sort of runs through the family. But you're absolutely right, it does not mean that that's what you're going to get. And armed with information and changes, that does not have to be your destiny. But I see that, and that's something that I've just seen in the community. People just very accepting of these diagnoses, when no, we have to fight against that. And that's what I want the younger people in my family to hear, is that I want you to fight against illness, you know, and it's important.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
So we just need to be more mindful of having those hard conversations. And I've been too lazy to do it, but for years I've thought about doing like a newsletter to my
Oh yeah.
family, to
Yeah.
just share with them not only how everybody's doing when somebody got married, but maybe just have a little small section about, high blood pressure, or what we've shared on this show, or something about diabetes, just so that people can have yet another source for getting that information. Again, been too lazy to do it, have not actually done it yet, but I do share with my younger family members all of this information as we chat and keep touch
Yeah,
throughout the year.
yeah, a great place to do it is family gatherings.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
You
and we
know,
do that. Yeah, yeah. So
so I did note some points down about the importance,
okay.
some reasons why it's important to share your medical
Yeah.
history with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said about the genetic understanding, sharing your medical history helps family members understand any hereditary conditions or genetic predispositions that may run in the family. This information allows them to assess their own risk and, like we said, take proactive measures for prevention or early detection. And for that reason too, early detection. I mean, just to know certain medical conditions, like you mentioned, heart disease, diabetes, and other types of cancers can have a genetic component, but knowing your family's medical history can prompt earlier and more targeted screenings, testing, or preventive measures, potentially leading to early detection and improved outcomes. Again, just like you mentioned, you taking that information about renal failure in your family to your doctor, which
Yeah,
put that physician on heightened alert and what to
yeah,
look out for
yeah,
it with your health.
yeah,
Um, and it helps us to make those informed decisions, right?
yeah.
Knowledge knowledge of that medical history can guide healthcare decisions and treatment plans. If a particular treatment or medication has had an adverse effect on family members, this information
Right.
can help inform your own treatment and decisions and avoid potential complications.
Yeah, yeah. And Teresa, at that same funeral, I talked with a cousin, and no, we weren't just talking about health stuff at the funeral. But anyway, I did. You remember I told you about maybe 7 years ago, I developed an intolerance for shellfish. Been
Yes.
eating shrimp, crab, lobster all my life, and then all of a sudden, this comes out. Well, when I we were talking about, something came up about somebody having crab fest or something, and I shared that with her, and she said that same thing happened to me. She said, I've been eating it. I said, what? She said, yeah, that exact same thing. And we talked about it. And she said, and it happened to my son. And now we are first cousins. And she is the only adult that I met since this happened to me, that I know personally, that experienced exactly what I experienced
Yeah,
as an adult. Isn't that something?
that is
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Well,
So, so that's
mhm.
something, and as a result of our conversation, I mean, I was like 7 or 8 years ago, but we were laughing about, you have a comrade in this because she and I were laughing about how people will say to you, "Oh, I can never live without lobster. I can never live without shrimp." And she and I were cracking up saying, apparently they've never been as sick as we have to get a reaction to it because you never want the stuff around you. So, yeah, it's good to share and see where the similarities lie, and again, see what possible changes we can make to protect our health. So, yeah,
Mhm.
hmm very very needed conversations. Yeah. So, Teresa, do you have anything for our health focus?
Well, I want us to recap a little bit before
Okay.
we go
Move
go
forward.
on to something different. Um,
Okay.
so it's important for people to understand, just how they can learn about their family history. First of all,
Okay.
let go of that stigma of sharing, right? So just imagine if one of you, you or your cousin, had been in another situation earlier on, and one of you had already had that experience with the biggest thing. And for the older soldiers in the family, don't be afraid or make the younger generation feel bad about asking you questions
Mhm.
about what your experiences have been. Share that. I mean, and another thing, my husband is really big into this genealogy,
Yeah, a lot of
and
people are.
so he's had the luxury of looking at some death certificates and seeing how some people have died in the family, like the cause of death. And so
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, they had this or that or the other, and those are some things that you can look at. I mean, and it's everybody, not just mom and dad. You need to collect
Right.
the information from your grandparents,
Right.
your aunts and uncles, your nephews, your siblings,
Yeah.
and you need to share it with your children, because once you have grown kids, one of the first things when they go to I don't know if you call it a real doctor, but a grown-up doctor, like
Mhm.
once they're out of the
Right, right,
out of
right.
they're away
Internal
from
medicine.
the
Right.
pediatrician,
Mhm.
they have to fill out these medical forms. How can they do that if they don't know, if you've not shared with them, conditions that you're dealing with? And like you said earlier, it can be a very tough conversation.
Yeah,
It's a tough conversation, but it's needed information. It's needed. It's needed. So you need to either write it down, keep it for yourself, or share this information when you get it.
absolutely. And Teresa, you brought up something when you talked about going to the doctor and filling out the forms because, particularly with women, they're interested in, like you said, they're looking for breast cancer, and that's needed. But these conversations go beyond that. Because there are a lot of other conditions that are in families that we need to be aware of. And when people are sharing, we have to be careful with that information because people are sharing because they love you and they want you to have a healthy sharing because they love you and they want you to have a healthy life. And so we're to be protective of that information when people share it. I've shared beyond health information, particularly with my nieces. I've let them talk to them about the aging process for women and some expectations on that, because people just we need to know this because that then, like I said earlier, it allows us to make some changes, make some decisions so that as we age, that we're trying to put ourselves in a better position for our health and to live well.
Right. I mean, I take it for granted, what you said is you made a good point. I take it for granted. Like if I say something to my family, that they're not going to go broadcast it all
Right,
over
of
Facebook,
course, right,
or social
right.
media or something like that. But you're right. I mean, I think that's also something that you should make clear. Like I'm sharing this not because I want you going out telling people outside of the
Yeah,
family, so that you can protect yourself
yeah,
and
right.
your family. But yeah, I think that's a good share that information as well.
Yeah.
Now, that is something that I do talk to my family about a lot: diet and lifestyle changes. Like, there is no magic cure for any of it. You got to do the work. I heard a clip of something that Venus Williams was saying in an interview. She was talking about, I think, financial freedom, but
Mhm,
what she said was, the quote was, "Discipline is freedom," right?
mhm.
And when you have the discipline and you put in the work, then you are free to do whatever it is that
Yeah.
you want to do. And when it comes to your health and your well-being, it requires a lot of discipline and a lot of work. And then you're
Yeah.
free to do.
Well, yeah. And Teresa, remember, I just spoke to you about that because I saw a quote that sort of stopped me in my tracks. Because we are always, particularly as women now, the buzzword is self care, self care. And, we think that means taking time out for ourselves, getting a massage, or, all of these things, going away for a girls' weekend. And all of that can be part of self care. But what stopped me in my tracks was this quote that said, discipline is the highest form of self care. You know,
Discipline. A-
discipline is the
And
highest
another thing with that, like, I made some decisions this week that I know were bad for me. Honestly, I just know they were,
form.
because over the all of I ran myself into the ground all of August
Hmm.
functions, and I said yes. I should have said no. I was exhausted. And as a result, I think, I know that, my body said to me, "Girl, stop, slow down and just stop." I was just physically
Hmm.
exhausted and experienced some things that, I know for sure were linked directly to me not getting the proper
Hmm.
sleep, the proper rest, and the proper food, because I've been on the run. Like my uh, smoothies and
Hmm.
teas and all of these things that are important to me and my body, because I know that, and that discipline and the word no, discipline and the word saying no is a complete sentence. And you just have to do that. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
take advantage. I know that was all off topic, but I
No,
think
no,
maybe.
no, no. Actually, it's not because that too is part of the health discussion. I mean, it
You
really
have,
is.
yeah,
When we share with our family members, we often share about our trajectory in our health and in our career, but we also need to share, the sacrifices that have been made and even where we made some missteps.
right,
Because as I look back, there are, times when I cringe at some decisions that I made that I knew were not in my health's best interest. They were
right,
not good decisions, but
right,
I believe there were decisions I needed to make at that time. And so you start thinking about that. My blood pressure plummeted. I mean, I thought something was wrong with me. It just went down. And it happened so fast. And my doctor said, "Well, can you think of anything?" And the only change I made, the only change, I was still eating the same, all of that, was the fact that I no longer had to do that. And
yeah.
I had no idea it was having
That's
that kind of an impact on my body. And it
Yeah,
was more stressful for me than I thought it was.
yeah.
So, it's all of that.
Isn't that
I,
amazing? That
yeah,
that that
yeah,
is amazing.
yeah.
That
I
is
mean,
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
being in that rat race is, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, it's
and
tough. It can be
it's
tough on our
tough,
bodies.
but it's
Mhm.
like you say, there are ways to manage it, of course. But we have to be aware, first of all, and acknowledge that, yeah, this is happening, and what kind of changes can I make to sort of navigate it. I've shared before years ago, one time when I took a position that I felt would be very challenging. One of the first things I did when I had my little talk with myself about taking this position, I said, "You will work out a minimum of 3 times a week. That's a non-negotiable for you. If you're, I'm this, I was talking to myself.
Yeah,
If,
yeah,
if,
yeah.
if we're going to do this, if I'm doing this, that we're not going to deviate from that because I have got to stay healthy, to try to stay healthy under this kind of stress that I'm knowingly putting
Putting
myself in.
yourself in.
And so that was just something that I held true to the whole time. Family about blood pressure. Yeah, I let them know. No, that's not, that didn't have to happen, and you don't have to accept that it will be your reality. I wish I had not accepted it, but I thought that just ran in our family. No, it does not.
Right.
And so I be mindful of the way you're framing the conversation so that again we can promote health throughout our families, and of course the community benefits from that.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
That's right.
So from there, we're going to go on and move into our mantra, Teresa. And so I want to talk to you a little bit. Of course, Teresa and I believe in mantras, and mantras are allow you to engage in the power of positive thinking and healthy self-talk. It keeps your mind from negative thoughts and negative self talk. And it focuses you and it counteracts the belief that you are a it counteracts beliefs that don't serve you well, that aren't in your best interest. And you'd be surprised throughout the day if you just pay attention what kind of negative thoughts are going through your head. Teresa, meditation has been challenging for me. We did a show about that. And when I would just sit down and meditate, it was surprising to me the things that would run through my mind. So mantras are a practice that focuses on being kind to ourselves. And in mantras, we're using those to sort of be the friend that we try. Take a minute, take a pause, and try to say something positive that will help you navigate whatever you're dealing with. So, today is a good day.
I will make it so.
My reality is formed by what my mind tells it.
Today, I am healthy and well.
I am at peace.
I extend kindness to myself and others.
in my in my actions and interactions today,
I lead with my commitment to do better.
and be better,
I commit to being part of the solution
to positively impact the environment.
and the world.
My choices.
Become my reality.
Wow.
Join
All
us.
right.
That's it for us today, folks. Be sure to join us in October for our next show on Tuesday, October the 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday, October 28th at 9 a.m. Eastern. Check out our latest episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on all major platforms. And don't you dare, don't sleep on our blogs,
Don't.
which you can find on our website at www.earringsoff.com. Earringsoff.com.
I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes who take on Oregon Ducks today. We are hoping for a great